Hi, I'm Mike Stark here at the Stark Ranch again, Spring Creek Ranch and out in Baker. We're dealing with a very large, severe drought. And Trevor and I kind of wanted to go through with talking about the tools that are in the Rio products, the amount of tools that are there, how we can represent some of that to the bankers with when you're buying products, what are you buying? And today we're going to kind of represent that with toolboxes. We're here, we've got competitor X with the toolbox. Behind the Rio tub, we've got a much larger toolbox. You know, as we look into the products that we're buying, we really need to understand what we're buying out there, when we're buying things. We look at things as being cheap, but what are we really buying? Do we know what's in those products that we're buying?
What is our dollar getting us?
Yeah.
What is our feed dollar getting us?
What are we buying? You know, we can look at competitor X over here, where maybe we're getting a little bit of protein to boost that cow. Maybe we're getting a little bit of moss part of the time of the year to improve health. Maybe we're getting a little bit of mineral. Is this the correct mineral that we need to be feeding for drought conditions? Are we feeding a chelate or a cheap mineral? Because we're looking at that bottom dollar. Are the tools of what we want to do going to be able to fix the problems that we're trying to fix? Is a cow going to be able to utilize the tools that we're giving them? Or are we wasting money by not giving them the proper tools and expecting our cattle to be able to come in, produce a calf, produce a heavy calf, marketable calf in the fall, rebreed, and give us another calf next year? Are we asking too much out of our factory? One way to do that with Rio, of course, we've got a full toolbox of tools, many different tools out in that product that we're paying for. Most of the time, what I'm finding out here at the ranch is that competitor X with that small toolbox is costing me the same money or more, especially when I look at, is that cow able to produce a calf, a good marketable calf, and rebreed and come in good body condition at the end of the year.
And on that, the cost per tub is going to be a lot less on a competitor X than the Riomax. The cost per toolbox is going to be a lot less on this little guy. Craftsman's a good brand, but it's small compared to this big old monster. So one message here is always look at your cost per head per day. And as Mike has just said, Riomax is typically going to be the same or less than the ones that are cheap.
And Trevor, to bring it all into perspective, I'd like to take you.
Yeah?
I'm going to buy competitor X because I can't spend the money on my cows this year.
You can't spend the money on your cows.
I cannot afford to spend that kind of money on that toolbox. But since you're working for me and here to help,
I'm working for you.
I want you to take that toolbox right there.
Yeah.
Come over here to this engine, and it needs rebuilt. I've got to have this for my water pump before we're done.
You want that rebuilt?
I want that rebuilt with the tools that I've purchased for you. I think that's a great plenty of tools.
Okay, I asked the viewers, is this guy a fair boss? He's asking me to fix that engine so it gets the job done, or in cow language, that cow gets bred, has a calf, like a machine in a factory in the production line, putting out goods. He's asking me to do an overhaul with a very small selection of tools. The only good thing about this is that it was cheap. Mike, is it going to cost me my job if I can't fix that?
Well, of course, because you can't do your job. Your job is to fix that. If you can't fix that engine, there's no point in you being here.
You're starting to treat this like a business, aren't you?
Well, of course.
This is, so you're saying if a cow If this was a mineral program and it can't get the optimum amount of cows bred and the optimum performance, then it's out of a job.
Yes.
It's not doing its job.
If that cow cannot do her job on my ranch by producing a calf, rebreeding, and being here next year ready to go to work, there's no point in her being here. She's leaving the ranch.
Okay, I may as well leave the ranch. With these tools, granted, I like the price, but with these tools, I cannot do the job. I must leave. Will you pay me what you owe me for my last paycheck, and then I'll get out of here?
I suppose you could keep your job, Trevor, if you could show me a way that you could get that job fixed.
Well, that job, if it represents getting the cows bred and keeping that cycle going in the ranch and all the things that make the rancher money, like tangible, measurable things, cows that breed, weaning a heavier calf, stretching your forages in this drought. I need a bigger toolbox and I will fix that.
So you're saying if I spend all the extra money on this big, high-powered, full toolbox with everything in it, you can get the job done for me?
Yes, sir.
So we can get water back to the cows?
Yes, sir. Do I have my job back?
I guess if I gotta spend that money to get that job done, then yes.
I'm gonna ask you a question then. Do you think it's worth it to spend that money in view of getting that pump fixed? It's gonna be the same cost per day or less than the competitors, but the sticker shock is high. Everybody knows Riomax is 2, 3, sometimes 4 times the price of other competitors.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's all about. We're looking at cost per day here. So I'm saying if you give me the right tools, I can get that thing fixed. Do I have my job back?
Yes, because if I weigh it out and I end up hiring somebody else to come in and do this, it's gonna cost me a lot more money in the end.
And if that thing ain't fixed, that's gonna be the most expensive decision you made. Okay, can I get to work?
You can now go to work.
Alrighty, so here's my Riomax toolbox. I'm a co-owner in Riomax, so you might look at me and say, well, this is biased, Riomax versus competitor. Well, maybe it is, but you know what? It all comes down to common sense for the ranching business. What impacts the bottom line in the ranch the most? Not necessarily the cheapest upfront cost. What is the best return on investment? Let me get going. First thing, I've got a complete mineral program, A to Z. All the mineral that cow needs is in that tub. Secondly, the kind of minerals. We've got 100% protected copper, zinc, manganese, selenium, giving it the highest chance of getting into the bloodstream so that we can get those cows bred. Thirdly is the number or the amount of minerals and vitamins. So not just the highest quality for absorption into the blood, but the highest volume. The volume is important. Next drawer, protein. He mentioned protein. This tub has protein. What we have is known as IST, indirect supplementation technology. And that is helping those cows squeeze more out of every mouthful all day long, every acre, every hour of the day. So what that does is it feeds the bugs in the rumen. They do a better job of breaking down that forage. We increase the TDN according to university studies. This is getting in the weeds. But we've got protein covered. We've got energy. Now let's go back to the IST. We've got yeast, enzymes, probiotics, prebiotics, fungi fuel. All of these is to help break down that forage. Your biggest expense is your land. Your biggest asset is your land. And we're dealing with drought. All of these are about helping those cows to better utilize their forages. Down here, we've got what we call forage balancer technology. And that ensures that that cow eats only what she needs, between 1/3 and 1/8 of a pound per head per day. So while an overconsumption case on a cheaper tub can get very, very costly, there is a guarantee called Cost Guard on the Riomax products. Between that 1/3 and 1/8 of a pound is where they eat, and the forage balancer technology that cow will determine what she needs depending on what else is in her diet. So if she's getting really good groceries, she'll eat less on the tub. If she's getting really poor groceries, she's gonna eat a little more on the tub. Forage balancer technology. The last drawer down here is all the innovation in delivery methods. We got the plastic 250. We got the 125 pound Enviro tub, which is biodegradable. We got the 60 pound BioBricks, which is biodegradable. We've got the loose mineral, if that's what guys are looking for. We've got different sizes and different delivery methods to suit your management style. We've got over here, natural fly control, the Repel product. Helps repel the flies rather than using a chemical. This one is a chemical option, the IGR, insect growth regulator, you may know of. That's an option.
I want to get rid of my pour-on, Trevor. I'm tired of pouring my cows. It's not working for me.
You know, we were just talking to a guy today that said he poured his cows and they rubbed all winter. He's not going to do it again. It didn't work. There's nothing wrong with the pour-on, Mike. It's just that those lice and those bugs and everything outsmarted and became resistant to these drugs and chemicals. So you don't want to pour anymore. Now, I'm not saying this on camera, hey guys, use Riomax, you don't have to use pour-on anymore. But you've done it for how many years?
Going on 3 years without pour-on the cows. The calves, we still pour.
Sure.
We still see effective use of the pour-on the calves. But one thing there that in that drawer right there is a drawer full of DE, Diatomaceous Earth, which the way it works, it goes internally into the cow, will lay there, and as the bad bugs climb over it, it will kill off bad bugs, the internal parasites, which helps keep them under control, aiding in your pour-on. Even if you don't want to quit pouring, we can probably get by with less pour-on through the cattle.
Yeah,
be able to really help with body condition in the cattle. It shows up in those cattle in better body condition, better hair coats.
Well, you know, your internal parasites are nutrient robbers, and they locate themselves right on the on the cell wall of the intestine, right where that readily digested nutrients is about to go through into the bloodstream. So if we have the DE in here consistently, we're consistently keeping a handle on those internal parasites. That means, like you said, more nutrients go to body condition, milk production, calf weights, so on and so forth. Next drawer is flax. That is in every formula and is very, there's plenty of studies on flax. Flax is not something just, just special to Rio. There's plenty of flax on the market, but it's a great product, good for fertility and a good energy source. And finally is your EDDI, known as EDDI. Do you know how to say that long ingredient on the tag?
No, Eddie. It's easy.
EDDI. It's a type of organic iodine, folks. And you talk about foot rot, you talk about getting that cow functioning to her prime, out grazing, out utilizing your forages, feeding her calf. So, look, we've thrown a lot of different ingredients, a lot of different things at you. This is a monster toolbox, but our message is quite simple. Not all toolboxes are built the same. They have a different capacity. So I'm holding this one. Do you want to hold that one? Lift it up above your head?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
toolboxes are different. I hear guys saying a tub is a tub is a tub. Well,
Same aspect.
toolboxes are not toolboxes are not toolboxes. And tubs are no different. And the job we're trying to do here is to educate folks so that you understand, we're not here to knock brand X or brand Y or brand Z. We're just trying to point out that there is a difference. And if you're worried about cost, I understand. I'm in business too. I hate spending money. I'm tight, I'm frugal. But you know what? If I can spend money that will make money, I'm interested. If you can invest in that cow to get more out of that cow or more out of that factory, as Mike says, it makes sense because it puts money on the bottom line of the rancher.
Buying different tubs goes back to looking at this engine. If that engine was my cow, maybe had I used the Rio tubs and have the big toolbox, maybe I could have got my maintenance done on that engine rather than wait for that thing to blow up.
Well,
If I do my maintenance, that engine's gonna run a long time, it's gonna run smoother, it's gonna do its job. If I don't do my maintenance because I don't have the tools there to do it, that engine's probably not gonna last me very long, and it's probably not gonna be very effective at doing its job.
and doing its job is the job it needs to do to make you money. Now, I just want to compare this, and this message is for you and your bankers. Bankers don't always understand that really, let's say you've got 1,000 cows. That's like having a factory. The ranch is like a factory. The 1,000 cows, imagine them as 1,000 machines in a production line. And each machine is putting out goods. It's manufacturing widgets. Now, if you start saying, I'm gonna skimp on my maintenance costs on those machines. The banker wants me to really tighten things up in the drought. I'm gonna start skimping on maintenance and oil and lubrication and general maintenance on those machines, on those 1,000 machines I've got, because I've got to tighten up. I end up with a machine that is out of order or is running on half steam or only produces a calf once every, 2 calves in 3 years. The point is, treat your cows like machines in a factory. And bankers look at those cows and in terms of doing the right thing by them to get the most out of those machines, to get the greatest output performance out of every cow in the cow herd of your customers. And to the ranchers, get the most out of everything you've got. We have a one-liner at Rio, we've always said it. Get more out of what you've already got. You've got 1,000 cows, you've got 100 cows. I don't care how many cows you have. What I do care is that you use the right tools and the right technology at the right price to get the right output performance, which comes in terms of a dollar sign.
Yes, it does, very much so. If we can look at those upfront costs, they're gonna be high. We've looked at this hard and long with the ranch here. It was very scary when we started. We actually had to go to our bank and we had to basically explain this the same way, Trevor, to our bank, learning to communicate with them about the differences of the toolboxes. Basically broke it down to what everything was in it, what they said they could do, and weigh out the cost of each one of those tools and what it was doing for us, and the things that it would do to make our cows perform. We actually had to break that down to them to be able to see that cost. Once we did that, we started to use the product and we seen each one of those tools performing their job. The performance of our cows came back and have stayed strong ever since, which in the bottom line has increased our profit margin on the cows, even though we increased our mineral price. We were able to we've been using a lot of those tools and we've been piecing them together. And it's kind of like when you go in to shop for a house. You You might be able to buy a complete house. It looks like a lot of money with everything put together, the kitchen cabinets, whatnot in it. It looks like a lot of money, and you think you can piece that together cheaper. We take a look and compare to the toolbox. If I was to go in and break that toolbox and buy that one tool at a time, that toolbox would cost us a lot more money. But when I'm working on equipment with it, guess what? I don't have that tool, so I gotta run to town and go get it. It costs me more money to run to town and get that tool and come back and fix it. It's a lot of time wasted.
I love that example.
Had I bought that toolbox all in one, set up, ready to go, that tool was there to keep me going. And it works the same way with a cow. Them tools are there in that tub for her to use when she needs it, not when I decide that she needs it. Most of the time, by the time I figure out that cow needed that tool, the wreck had already happened.
Yep, we're behind the
The
eight ball.
money was already spent because that cow could not perform her job. And it was too late to go buy that tool then.
And when you send that open cow to town, you fed her all year. That hurts.
It does. It's very expensive.
You've worked on her all year and you didn't get the product of that machine. So, you know, ranchers get this. Ranchers are not dumb. Ranchers get this message. You know, getting cows bred, heavier calves, stretching your forages, all these things that make or save you money. But your financial, your lenders, your ag lenders, your bankers may not understand this. Because think of it, they may be looking at a spreadsheet that says toolbox number 1 versus toolbox number 2. And in their wisdom, they're gonna recommend, you know what, times are tough, let's go with toolbox number 2 because it looks better on the expense budget. There's a whole lot more to it. And I'd like to empower you ranchers listening to this, to have those conversations with your banker, to talk about the results of the product, not just the product, but the why. Why are we using that product? What are we trying to get done? What needle are we trying to move in terms of fertility, weight gain, overall health, less treatments on the calves, stretching your forages, managing your land base through drought conditions like we're in. Are we done this toolbox story? Sure we're done?
We're done.
We're done.